Haunting wilderness encounters, the footprints in the snow. In November 2019, Nathan, felt compelled to share a chilling ordeal that began around 2012 or 2013. Back then, in my mid-20s, I had a steady job and lived with my partner, now fiancée, Lauren, in my childhood home, a historic brick house inherited from my parents, who got it from my grandparents. Its aged brick stood out in our woodsy neighborhood, where houses were spaced far apart, and ours sat at the street's end, bordered by dense woods on two sides. I loved the isolation, having explored those woods as a kid with my siblings, never fully mapping their vastness. One snowy Sunday morning around 8 a.m., I spotted a trail of footprints in the driveway by my truck, leading from the woods through a fence gap to my driver's side door and back, no circling the house or windows. Lauren hadn't made them, leaving me puzzled. 2 winters later, in 2015, I found footprints everywhere: driveway, windows, yard, barefoot in the freezing cold, shocking us both. My dad, a former resident, had no similar experiences and urged me to track them with my rifle. The woods were endless, but I followed the trail until it split into two, unnerving me with the possibility of multiple intruders. I turned back as dusk fell, and police found no evidence of a crime. Years passed uneventfully until January 2019, when footprints reappeared, some leading to my shed where tools were stolen. Enlisting my friend Caleb, a skilled hunter with a thermal scope, we tracked the prints deep into the woods. They split again, with dead ends suggesting deliberate evasion. As night fell, the tracks deepened, and another set joined, confirming 2 people. Caleb spotted 4 figures through his scope, 2 large, 2 smaller, all naked, eating something by a tree. They moved deeper into the woods, and we waited, frozen, before returning home. Police searched the next day but found nothing, and Lauren and I now fear their return, contemplating a move. The stalker on the trail. Last summer, Dylan, embarked on a solo Pacific Crest Trail hike, parking at the end, hitching to the start, and planning a 10-day trek back. The first few days were serene, towering trees, winding paths, but I camped off trail for privacy. On the 3rd night, I awoke with a gut feeling, finding my wallet missing from my tent. Over the next days, more items vanished: lighter, knife, energy bars, confirming I was being stalked. With no cell service, I couldn't turn back without camping again, so I tied my tent shut, rifle close, but paranoia consumed me. Hallucinations plagued me, a vivid puddle I stepped in, dry upon inspection, and nights brought footsteps, though none entered. On the final night, I hiked through darkness, flashlight and rifle in hand, hearing footsteps behind me. A figure emerged, wearing my stolen shorts, scratched and wild. I fired a warning shot, and he fled. I reached my car, called police, and left, shaken. The hallucinations and ordeal have deterred me from hiking alone again. I urge caution and firearms on the PCT. The logger's nightmare years ago, my friend's dad, Mark, a tree saw operator in the Pacific Northwest, shared a harrowing tale. Working long hours in remote forests, paid per tree, he often labored 16-20 hours with his colleague Griffin. On a desolate mountain job site, after weeks clearing a road, they heard eerie radio chatter, muffled voices following them across channels, growing clearer with a casual yet sinister tone. They found signs of others, footprints, campsites, and a tent with disturbing items: children's underwear, duct tape, rope, sketches of abuse, and a fresh apple. Limiting radio use, they pressed on, but voices persisted, discussing mundane tasks. Mark confronted them, met with silence, escalating tensions. That night, Griffin woke Mark to footsteps outside their camper. The door jiggled, scratched for minutes, then burst open. Mark was slashed across the face and beaten. Griffin tackled the attacker. Another fled. They drove to a hospital, Mark's vision permanently damaged. Police found nothing, but later, a co-worker was found murdered. Mark's PTSD lingers, a scarred eye, a constant reminder, and I've feared deep woods ever since. Unsettling nighttime intrusions. The break-in, after midnight. A few years ago, in early March, Ryan, got home from a late work shift around midnight, craving a cold beer and some rest. Sinking into the couch, I skipped the TV, seeking silence, but the peace shattered when all the house lights went out with that familiar fuzzy pop. Our house often lost power, so I stepped outside to check the neighbors. Some had lights, confirming it was just us. But when I tried re-entering, the front door was locked, which was odd, since I hadn't locked it. The back door was locked too, unusual since my wife, Emily, often left it open. Panic set in when I saw the garden hose, previously coiled, now strewn beneath the breaker box. Someone had cut the power deliberately. Peering through a window, I spotted 2 flashlights moving inside, signaling a break-in. My phone was on the couch, so I threw rocks at our bedroom window to wake Emily, whispering for her to hide in the closet. I ran to a neighbor's, borrowed their phone, and called the police. By the time they arrived, the intruders had fled through the back door, taking valuables. Emily later revealed she heard one kick in the bedroom door and cock a gun, standing silently before leaving, likely spooked by the rocks. We still live there, haunted by what might have happened if I hadn't stepped outside. The stormy basement encounter. After years struggling to match my brother's business success, I, Alex, moved back into my parents' basement to regroup, a humbling step. The space was cozy, with a kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, and TV, letting me stay independent. One stormy weekend with my parents away, rain and wind battered the house fiercely. I relished the cozy chaos from bed until the power cut out, plunging everything into darkness. Annoyed, I considered checking the breaker, but didn't know its location and decided to wait until morning. A loud thud against a basement window jolted me, too deliberate for a branch. Using my phone's flashlight, I checked and froze. A pale, drenched man stared back, vanishing after eye contact. Then creaking floorboards above confirmed intruders. With no Wi-Fi or cell service in the basement, I was trapped. 3 figures with flashlights roamed upstairs, one holding a gun. I overheard, "Alex is in the basement. Go find him." Chilling me, they knew my name. I smashed a window with a stool, cutting myself but escaping into the rain. Once clear, I called the police, who found the house empty but ransacked. My parents nearly evicted me, but I stayed, shaken, wondering who they were and how they knew me. The warehouse chase. A few months ago, I, Ethan, took a night shift security job at a warehouse in an industrial area, a solitary role I enjoyed. On a rainy Thursday, with the storm flickering the power, it finally cut out, leaving the warehouse pitch black. Alone, I had to restore it, unplugging machines before heading to the breakers. The silence amplified every creak, and a metallic clatter echoed from deeper inside. Investigating, I saw a flashlight beam vanish, impossible since no one else should be there. A metallic, musty smell led to wet footprints near the loading bays, and faint, tense whispers filled the air, stopping when I approached. A crowbar appeared near the circuit room, hinting at danger. I shouted I was armed, gripping my taser, when a crash and footsteps revealed 2 figures in black, one with a crowbar. They charged. I ran, weaving through aisles until they stopped chasing. I escaped, called the police, who arrived quickly but found no one, though they helped restore power. My boss nearly fired me for fleeing, but now pairs us on shifts. I'm still rattled why toy with me, then chase me with a weapon. Unexplained aerial phenomena. A new perspective. A shift in understanding. Recent discoveries challenge our view of humanity's place in the cosmos. Within the past month, a planet with water was detected just a few light-years from Earth, hinting at life beyond our world. This revelation coincides with a stunning U.S. Navy disclosure of authentic footage showing objects with advanced technology, captured by pilots. These events urge us to confront long-ignored questions: the origins, construction, and purpose of these crafts, and their presence here. For decades, evidence has been sidelined, suggesting a hidden history spanning at least 70 years. The 1955 encounter. On a clear day in 1955, pilot James Harper, a decorated WA-2 veteran, embarked on a routine B-25 bomber delivery from Miami to an airbase in Alabama. Mid-flight, his co-pilot noted a bright spot overhead, initially dismissed as a windshield glare. Alongside two aviation engineers, Harper observed a strange object descending rapidly across their path. Pushing the plane to over 300 mph, he closed in, noting its lack of wings or tail, casting a perfect circular shadow. "It's a disc with smooth edges, no exhaust or rivets," he reported, as it maneuvered with uncanny precision. Suddenly, it vanished, reappearing thousands of feet above, a gleaming yellow form speeding away. After landing, the shaken crew was debriefed separately by Project Blue Book, the Air Force's UFO investigation unit. Ironically, Harper later became a public face for Blue Book, stating, "What we saw might be from elsewhere. If hostile, the Air Force would act decisively." This event marked a shift in military awareness. The 1947 wave. Post-WTI, America's air dominance was unchallenged, bolstered by its nuclear monopoly. Then, in 1947, the skies changed. Pilot Michael Larson, flying over Washington state, spotted 9 crescent-shaped objects flipping in the sunlight, lacking tails. "I'd swear on a Bible it was real," he said, sketching them for the Air Force. Invited to Hamilton Air Base, he was shown photos of a similar craft from Arizona, taken weeks later, as a gesture from intelligence officers. The sightings exploded nationally, with United Airlines pilot Thomas Reed and his crew witnessing 9 discs in formation for 45 minutes over Montana. Reports flooded in bright, fast objects seen by pilots and civilians alike. Air Force General Harold Pierce acknowledged credible accounts, though he suggested atmospheric phenomena like temperature inversions. A secret memo, however, revealed concern. These metallic, dome-topped crafts, moving in formations with extreme agility, posed a potential defense threat. Publicly, the government denied secret tech, but the debate raged. The McMinnville sighting. In 1952, farmer Daniel Hayes was tending his livestock in Oregon when he noticed a metallic, disc-like object hovering low. Alerting his wife, Sarah, he snapped 2 photos before it accelerated away. Life magazine featured the McMinnville UFO, sparking global intrigue. "It wasn't a star or plane too structured, too fast," Daniel insisted. The couple, honest and unprofitable from the images, described its sudden departure. Meanwhile, astronaut candidate Robert Ellis, training in Europe in 1953, led a squadron chasing a large formation. "They'd halt mid-flight, turn 90 degrees beyond our jet's capability," he recalled, noting their metallic sheen. These accounts fueled speculation of otherworldly tech. The Chesapeake Bay incident. In 1957, commercial pilots David Carter and James Hill, ex-Navy aviators, encountered 8 glowing discs over Chesapeake Bay, near Washington, D.C. Approaching at an estimated 10,000 mph, the red-hot objects maneuvered sharply, defying physics. "They reversed course instantly. No human could survive that," Carter said. The sighting shook their belief in earthly origins. Days later, 7 radar blips invaded restricted airspace over the capital, confirmed by controllers at multiple bases. F-94 interceptors scrambled, but the objects vanished when approached, reappearing the next weekend. Pilot Richard Hayes, flying at 600 mph, radioed in panic as they closed in, only for them to retreat. "They're solid, likely from space," he concluded. A rushed Pentagon press conference followed, with General Thomas Reed dismissing the incidents as atmospheric tricks, though a CIA memo highlighted risks near defense sites during the Cold War. Global witnesses and suppression. French researcher Pierre Dubois, inspiring cinematic depictions, spent decades collecting UFO data, consulting with officials like Project Blue Book's Dr. Robert Klein, a skeptical astronomer turned investigator. Dubois uncovered a classified letter in Klein's files, declassified via Senate appeal, revealing a parallel, well-funded study to Blue Book, led by Dr. Harold Wells of a national lab. In 1966, Australian students at Westall High witnessed a disc hovering over their field, descending into a wooded area. One, now anonymous, recalled its hum and heat, its blue-purple lights vanishing upward. Authorities quickly cordoned off the site, and the headmaster silenced the students. A science teacher, protected, admitted seeing a silver object with no earthly explanation, later threatened with job loss and prosecution under secrecy laws. 4 days earlier, engineer Michael Scott photographed a metallic object in a nearby garden, describing its gun-like acceleration. Air Force officers confiscated details, showing him similar images, labeling it an unidentified flying object. Unexplained encounters and hidden histories. The ongoing mystery. Recent findings suggest humanity is not unique in the universe. A planet with water, located just a few light years away, was recently identified, raising hopes of extraterrestrial life. Simultaneously, the U.S. Navy released verified footage of objects displaying advanced technology, filmed by pilots. These developments compel us to explore long-suppressed questions about these crafts' origins, construction, functionality, and intent. A parallel narrative, buried for over 7 decades, demands scrutiny. The 1955 Alabama sighting. In 1955, on a clear day, pilot Robert Ellis, a WTI veteran, took off from Miami in a B-25 bomber bound for an Alabama airbase. Mid-flight, his co-pilot spotted a bright anomaly overhead, initially thought to be a windshield flaw. With 2 engineers aboard, Ellis noted a strange object descending swiftly across their path. Accelerating to over 300 mph, he closed in, observing its lack of wings or tail, casting a circular shadow. "It's a smooth-edged disc, no exhaust or seams," he remarked, as it vanished and reappeared high above, a radiant yellow shape streaking away. Post-landing, the crew was separately debriefed by Project Blue Book, the Air Force's UFO study. Later, Ellis became a Blue Book spokesperson, suggesting, "It might be from beyond. If hostile, we'd take action." This incident hinted at a broader military interest. The 1947 surge after World War II, America's air superiority and nuclear edge seemed unassailable. In 1947, that changed. Pilot Daniel Reed, flying over Oregon, saw 7 crescent-shaped objects reflecting sunlight, lacking tails. "I'd vouch for it under oath," he said, sketching them for the Air Force, which showed him similar Arizona photos from weeks later. The sighting spread, with pilot James Carter and his crew observing 7 discs in formation for 40 minutes over Idaho. Hundreds reported fast, shiny objects to Air Force investigators. General Paul Evans acknowledged credible but unexplained cases, publicly attributing some to atmospheric effects, though a confidential memo noted metallic dome-topped crafts with superior maneuverability as a potential threat. The government denied secret tech, fueling public speculation. The Oregon Farm Incident. In 1953, farmer Thomas Brooks was feeding his livestock in Oregon when he spotted a metallic disc hovering nearby. He called his wife, Ellen, who photographed it twice before it sped off. Life magazine highlighted the Brooks Farm UFO, calling it a global enigma. "It wasn't a plane or star too structured, too quick," Thomas said. The couple, honest and unrewarded, described its rapid ascent. Meanwhile, astronaut trainee Michael Hayes, training in Germany in 1954, led a squadron chasing a formation. "They'd halt, turn 90 degrees impossible for our jets," he noted, describing their metallic sheen. These accounts intensified the mystery. The Virginia Bay Encounter. In 1958, pilots Richard Dunn and Thomas Gray, ex-Navy aviators, saw 6 glowing discs over Chesapeake Bay near Washington, D.C., approaching at an estimated 9,000 km/h. "They reversed course instantly. No human could endure that," Richard said. Days later, 6 radar blips invaded restricted airspace over the capital, confirmed by controllers. F-94 jets scrambled, but the objects vanished when intercepted, returning the next weekend. Pilot Stephen Mills, flying at 600 mph, panicked as they surrounded him, then retreated. "They're solid, likely extraterrestrial," he concluded. A hurried Pentagon briefing dismissed it as weather phenomena, though a CIA memo flagged risks near defense sites during the Cold War. Global Sightings and Silence French researcher Claude Moreau, a key UFO investigator, collaborated with Dr. Thomas Reed, a skeptical astronomer recruited by Project Blue Book. Moreau, sifting through Reed's files, found a classified letter, declassified via Senate appeal, revealing a secretive, well-funded study parallel to Blue Book, led by Dr. James Carter of a national lab. In 1967, Australian students at Riverside School saw a disc hover over their field, descending into woods. One, now anonymous, recalled its hum and heat, its blue-green lights vanishing upward. Authorities sealed the area, and the principal warned silence. A science teacher, protected, described a silver object with no explanation, later threatened with job loss and secrecy laws. 4 days earlier, engineer Paul Evans photographed a metallic object in a nearby garden, noting its gun-like acceleration. Air Force officers took details, showing similar images, labeling it unidentified. The Texas landing. In 1964, near Levelland, Texas, Sheriff Daniel Clark investigated reports of a 200-foot egg-shaped object landing on highways, disabling lights and engines. Approaching, he saw a white craft with small, white-clad figures moving around it. His radio failed as one figure glanced at him. A flame erupted beneath it, lifting off smoothly before accelerating away. Patrolman Miguel Rivera arrived, noting smoldering ground and tiny footprints. FBI, military, and Blue Book officials documented 4 unusual imprints. Clark, shaken, was told to stay quiet, receiving a book on sightings. His wife noted his pale, angry state. Letters from others with similar experiences followed, but ridicule forced him to leave policing. The case, like French incidents, convinced investigators of UFO landings. The Michigan anomalies. In 1966, Dr. Reed investigated Michigan sightings with local sheriffs facing public pressure. At a press conference, he suggested swamp gas, a stance he later regretted. Congressman Michael Hayes demanded answers, criticizing the Air Force's dismissal. Hearings followed, with Secretary Robert Allen denying cover-ups, but an external panel, led by physicist Henry Lewis, reviewed cases. The 1968 report, over 1,400 pages, attributed many to radar or weather, but confirmed unexplainable incidents, including Oregon photos and Montana footage of spinning, silver disks. Lewis' conclusion that no evidence demanded further federal study drew criticism for ignoring the data's 5 to 6% unexplained rate, prompting the Air Force to end public reporting in 1969. Nuclear site intrusions, declassified documents and military testimonies shared at the National Press Club confirm UFOs at nuclear sites. In 1967, at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana, launch officer David Carter saw a white light halt over a silo, disabling 10 Minuteman missiles. Guards reported a red beam. In 1980, at RAF Bentwaters, UK, Deputy Commander John Ellis found security police observing a silent object in the forest, vanishing quickly. 2 nights later, a red light returned, beaming near the nuclear depot, tracked by radar. Soviet documents reveal a 1981 Ukrainian base incident where a UFO triggered a 15-second launch sequence, aborted manually. These patterns suggest deliberate interest in nuclear arsenals. The Roswell Enigma. In 1990, post-Soviet openness brought UFO files to light. General Alexei Petrov recalled a 1990 Moscow flap, ordering non-engagement. In 1991, Leningrad radar tracked objects over a nuclear plant, one melting asphalt with a beam. Philanthropist William Carter, leveraging his influence, pushed President Daniel Reed's administration for transparency, selecting the 1947 Roswell case. A GAO probe followed claims of a crashed alien craft. Major Robert Hayes, Roswell's intelligence officer, found strange, unbendable foil at a Corona, New Mexico ranch, ordered to pose with weather balloon debris. Colonel Peter Dunn described the cover-up. The 1994 Air Force report claimed it was a mogul balloon for Soviet spying, but Hayes insisted it was extraterrestrial. Carter's brief warned of above-top secret classifications, even from presidents. Astronaut James Brooks, with Pentagon ties, affirmed recovered crafts and bodies, hinting at a hidden group. Mysteries of the skies, UFOs and beyond a hidden government program. Revealed in 2007, Senator Michael Carter, a prominent political figure, convinced Senators James Holt and Edward Kane to allocate millions in defense funds for a secret UFO investigation. The program ran from the late Bush era through Obama's administration into early 2018. In December 2017, the program's existence was exposed, with the government acknowledging its efforts and releasing evidence, including cockpit videos from military aircraft. Journalist Emily Sanders, co-author of the groundbreaking story, met with Daniel Rivera, who had recently stepped down as head of the Pentagon's covert UFO initiative. Rivera shared, "These objects move at incredible speeds without ionization trails or sonic booms. How?" Sanders was shown classified videos, which she couldn't take, but deemed them front-page news for her outlet. Alongside her colleague Robert Klein, they presented the evidence to their editor, confirming the program's scope and findings. A former defense official, Thomas Wells, provided the videos, admitting to bending rules for the public good. Sanders felt the story should have emphasized the reality of these phenomena, not just the program. The 2004 Nimitz encounter. In 2004, off San Diego, Commander Nathan Brooks led a training mission from the USS Nimitz when radar detected an unknown object. Brooks and another F-18 pilot, each with a crew member, investigated, spotting a 40-foot smooth white tic-tac-shaped craft above a submerged object. "No wings, no propulsion, just darting over the water," Brooks noted. As he approached, it accelerated instantly, vanishing, only to reappear at the fleet's secret defense coordinates, suggesting awareness. Additional jets with advanced radar captured it on video, but the object jammed their systems. "It dominated the engagement. Our fighters were outmatched," Brooks recalled. Senator Carter later confirmed such incidents, noting UFOs have disrupted nuclear weapons systems, rendering them unlaunchable. Historical UFO incidents. Astronaut Daniel Evans, a Mercury program veteran, revealed a 1957 Edwards Air Force Base incident where his team filmed a landed UFO. The footage was sent to Washington and never seen again. Evans, speaking with a high-ranking official, learned much evidence remains hidden. Researcher Paul Moreau has collected alleged UFO debris since 1947, analyzed by Dr. Stephen Grant at a cutting-edge lab. Using a multi-parameter ion beam imager, Grant found the fragments' isotopic ratios elements like magnesium and iron didn't match earthly materials. "This is manufactured, an ultra-material, possibly assembled at the atomic level," Grant said, suggesting unknown technology. Moreau emphasized the potential for such discoveries to solve global issues like the energy crisis. Close encounters worldwide. In 1959, Papua New Guinea, missionary Andrew Thompson and 38 others saw a disk hovering 200 feet up. 4 small figures in black suits waved back when the group waved, engaging for hours before the craft vanished at incredible speed. In 1994, Zimbabwe's aerial school witnessed a significant encounter. Over 60 children saw a silver oval craft land near their playground, describing small beings with large eyes in black bodysuits. "I felt scared he had big eyes, 4 times ours," one child recalled. Many sensed a telepathic message about environmental harm and technology's dangers. Dr. Henry Blake, a renowned psychiatrist, interviewed them, noting their consistency. Years later, the children reunited, reaffirming their accounts. "I was mesmerized by its eyes, telepathic, warning us about technology," one said. Judy Evans, a teacher present in 1994, apologized for dismissing them, admitting, "Aliens visited us." A legacy of observation. Historical records show UFO-like sightings dating back centuries. In the 17th and 18th centuries, astronomers with telescopes documented unusual aerial phenomena, often forgotten today. Modern cases mirror these, with objects displaying intent to be seen, using bright lights. Witnesses like Brooks lament not attempting communication, while others note the lack of hostility. "If they wanted to harm us, they could have long ago," Brooks said. The phenomenon, studied by researchers like Moreau, suggests an intelligent presence, challenging our understanding of reality and humanity's place in the cosmos. Unsettling encounters. A Night Alone and Beyond. The stormy night alone. When I was in second or third grade, a vivid memory emerged from a stormy school day. Rain poured relentlessly, and after my parents picked me up, they attended a formal event, perhaps a charity gala, leaving me home. The storm worsened, forcing them to stay overnight with friends nearby. They called, apologizing profusely, though I assured them I'd manage, even listing tasks: lock all doors and windows, keep a light on, close blinds. Too young to grasp the risks of being alone, I was thrilled for freedom, no bedtime, endless snacks. I stayed in the living room, planning to follow their instructions later, but a sugar crash knocked me out on the couch. Waking later TV in sleep mode, at least 3 hours past midnight, I felt an unusual chill. Recalling my mom's list, I checked everything: doors locked, blinds drawn, windows sealed. Yet the cold persisted, puzzling me. I blamed a possible heater failure and trudged upstairs, unaware of the storm. Fury until my room. Big window revealed rain battering the glass and thunder crashing. Worried about falling trees, sleep eluded me despite exhaustion. Then, odd creaks unlike the carpeted floor intruded. Not storm-related, they irked me. Sitting up, a lightning flash showed my closet door ajar, though I'd closed it. Terrified, I slipped out silently, fleeing downstairs to hide under the dining table, tears flowing. Footsteps, irregular, like jumps, descended. Peering out, I saw muddy, yellow-tinted legs with cuts, stumbling, dropping a wrench. Frozen, I watched them leave via the front door. Shaken, I hid longer, retrieved the wrench to hide my lapse, and slept after locking up. Years later, I confessed to my parents, who struggled to believe me. The trauma lingered, sparking a lifelong fear of the dark and a lesson: always lock up. The rainy park pursuit. At 15, living with my parents in a spacious house, I faced a rainy May night before summer. My medical quirks, panic attacks, fainting, needing silence to sleep made rain, rare where I lived, a sleepless torment. Unable to rest past midnight, I donned a rain jacket and walked to the well-lit park bordering our safe neighborhood, a habit my parents endorsed. The rain-soothed nature lover in me, but returning home, I spotted a black shape in the street, a person, face down. Fearing a hit and run, I approached despite unease, noting black pants and a plaid shirt on a man, chilled by the rain's sudden cold shift. A strange howl from the park startled me, but seeing no threat, I turned back only to find the man upright, staring, then charging with a kitchen knife and a sinister grin, yelling, "I'll kill you!" Slipping on wet grass, I fled into the park's dense trees, running blindly. Exhausted, I hid behind a tree, waited 20 minutes, then took a detour home, collapsing in bed, haunted by the howl's mystery. Years later, at 29, I still ponder it, attributing the man's actions to drugs, glad to remain in that house. The remote camping threat. Months ago, post-breakup, I sought solitude in Northern California's wilderness, heading to a secluded riverside spot. Spotting 2 trucks near the trailhead soured my mood, but I hiked on, passing 2 bearded men fishing who awkwardly covered something, claiming target practice. Uneasy, I camped further down, rain falling as I read. Later, spotting one man across the river, he waved, asked my name Anisha, and snapped my photo with a disposable camera before leaving. Creeped out, I stayed in my tent, but footsteps circled it. Grabbing my handgun, I confronted the man, blank-faced with an axe. Ordering him to leave, he mumbled about taking care of his friend Ivan. A warning shot, and disarming him, I forced him to gather my gear, tossed his shoes, and fled in the dark, reporting to police. His Ivan comment still unnerves me, but being armed saved me.